Stelmo, take it away. I cannot wait to see what I'm about to see here.
Thank you so much, Midnight. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Stelmo98, and welcome to Sonic Project 06. I will be your speedrunner for this evening, and I have with me the amazing Reverie, who is also a speedrunner of this game. And I figured I'd turn it over to them to kind of talk a little bit about what Project 06 is.
Yeah, so if you know what retail is, you're probably thinking, hey, why is this game like in 1080p? And that's because P06 is a from the ground up remake in Unity. So this is not a mod or anything. This is an entirely separate game, and you're going to be seeing that. Like the only thing similar to retail is the name of the game.
Yep, and when we call it Retail 06, we are talking about the original 06 that was released in, shocker, 2006 on the Xbox 360 and PS3. This is a fantastic game for bargain bin because it is the low price of $0. It is a fan game that's completely free. You can go download it right now if you so choose to do so. And it is created by Chaos X 2006, who may or may not be in chat. He said he might be able to come by, so if you see him, be sure to say hi and say thank you for how incredible this game is. If you are a fan of Sonic Adventure 1 or Sonic Adventure 2, you are going to love this game. We're going to be showcasing Silver's Any Percent category, which is a very short category, and there's a lot to explain, and we're going to do our best to try to get through it all and make some sense of it. So, are we ready to go, Rev?
I'm ready.
Alrighty, count me down.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Let's go. Now, there are going to be a few intro cutscenes, so we're going to try to be quiet during those. Alright, looks like Silver and Blaze are ready to go. I hope you guys are too. Take us away, Rev, with how this character controls.
Yeah, so again, the first thing you'll notice is the game looks a lot better, and the second thing you'll notice is Silver can spin jump onto enemies, which is not an ability he had in Retail. Many abilities in this game were either created for the game or were revived from unused concepts in Retail. One we just used right there allows us to activate ESP mode once we've defeated a couple of enemies. It is a very complex transformation with a lot of intricacies, but the main purpose of it right now is that it reduces our meter consumption by 33%. So for the earlier stages, we're just going to be using it for mobility. We'll see its combat uses later in the run.
It has so many nuances to it, it's probably as complicated as the character itself, but Project 06 does not let up on how quick it is, as we switch right on over to Blaze the Cat. There are 3 main Hedgehog stories, those being Sonic, Shadow, and Silver in this game, and each of those stories have 2 Amigo companions that the Hedgehog has with them throughout their entire story. And the first one for Silver is Blaze the Cat, who debuted in Sonic Rush, and for whatever reason they decided is here in Sonic 06 from the future, which is where we're set here in Crisis City. Blaze basically plays the exact same way as she does in the original game, just with some extra particles effects and stuff to spruce up her gameplay just a tad. In addition to, you can see momentum. Momentum and physics are something that Project 06 adds from Retail 06. It's pretty crazy to actually be able to take advantage of slope jumps and just in general moving as fast as we can here, completing Crisis City in under 2 minutes. How was that, Midnight? What'd you think?
Wow, I'm that's all I got. Oh,
that's a fair answer.
Yep, and that is just one stage, so get ready as we head into Tropical Jungle, and there is another fan favorite cutscene I think everyone's going to enjoy here in chat.
This looks so beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful animation made by both Chaos X, the creator of the game, and amazing Sonic animator Sonic Potts as we hop into Tropical Jungle here. Rev, you want to explain a little bit what's going on in this Tropical Jungle route?
Yeah, so a lot of the stages, of course, level design for this game was not edited, basically at all. There's some few additions here and there, which we'll see later, but the levels were designed for the slower, momentumless Silver in mind, so a lot of these stages we are just going to blow through because of how good he is now.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of the...
We're done.
We're done. Barely had time to fully explain it.
Kind of interestingly, though, this run looks pretty similar to how it does in Retail 06, because like Rev said, these stages were not designed for the very slow Silver in mind. There were a couple glitches you could do in the original game that really, that you could take advantage of to make stages even quicker than you're gonna see here. But overall, like, the Silver is very overpowered for the stages we're running through. As we hop into Dusty Desert here, we're going to be seeing a couple new abilities that we're going to explain a little bit later, because there's going to be a better time to explain them. But what we see in Dusty Desert here, the most infamous stage in this game is Silver's Dusty Desert, and it's because of these guys, the billiard balls. Now, for whatever reason that these very modern-looking billiard balls are doing in an ancient castle, I literally have no idea. But thankfully, Chaos X has fine-tuned the heck out of them in order to make it a much better experience for the player. Originally, those balls had a certain amount of hits, and they still do, but they would also count down even if you weren't hitting them. So not only did you have a limited amount of hits to get the billiard balls into the holes, you also had a limited amount of time as well. But thankfully that time limit has been removed, so you can really just focus on hitting all the balls in the corresponding holes. But here we go, the second amigo, Amy Rose. Rev, would you like to discuss Amy while we're playing as her for just a little bit?
Yeah, so in the original game, Amy was used in very few places. Honestly, I think the developers kind of knew how terrible she was, because she's used in very few places, but as you can see, she was overhauled massively, where she takes inspiration from her SA1 iteration, and now she's gone forever.
Yep, that was the only time we're going to be playing as Amy, because like Rev said, yeah, the developers kind of knew how bad she was in the original game, so they decided just to throw her here in one section in Dusty Desert, just to give Silver a second amigo, just like Sonic and Shadow have. And yeah, it's really sad. It's kind of interesting, just to kind of show how good Project 06 is, to take one of the worst characters in the original game and make it to where the fans of Project 06 can't get enough of her and want to see her play more. And in the next patch for the Silver release that is coming out very soon, it has just entered beta testing, the very next patch is actually lengthening Amy's section just because people want to play as her more, which I think is a compliment, like one of the highest compliments you could give a game developer. So kudos to Chaos for just everything that you're seeing here. This game is absolutely incredible to blaze through. Getting it done with Dusty Desert under 2 minutes and 20 seconds, that was a personal hope of mine, and I'm very happy to have gotten it there.
I did see a quick question in chat, though, that was, how much different is the Sonic P06 version from the Sonic 06, the vanilla?
Literally entirely different. Nothing similar.
The only similar things are the characters we're playing as and the stages we are playing in. Other than that, the movement of the characters and a lot of the moves of the characters were completely overhauled. As you're seeing right here, I can do a triple jump with Blaze. Can't do that in the original game. They kind of... Chaos kind of removed the Sonic Team one-button mentality. All of these crazy new abilities and different abilities are now mapped to different buttons, which is extremely nice and streamlines the experience quite a bit because, you know, we have 4 face buttons. We might as well use them. But, yeah, if there are any other questions, White Acropolis and our next stage, Radical Train, is a great time to ask them, or Midnight if you have some thoughts as well on what you're seeing so far.
You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I love Sonic. I've only played a couple Sonic games, so it's in it's always one of those things. Just as a casual viewer, even though I do speedrun, I've never really played a whole lot of Sonic. But as a casual viewer of Sonic speedruns, it just always amazes me how fast and how fast-paced these things are.
Especially because of how slow the original 06 was. The characters moved at the speed of molasses, so really speeding them up and making them much faster makes these stages quite quick, as we're already almost done with our 4th stage here, White Acropolis. I did want to throw it over to Rev if you would like to talk a little bit about the combat with Silver, because it does have some interesting intricacies. Wow, that was a sentence.
Right, so in the original game, Silver's combat was like only a negative. Like, he had basically one approach to combat, Well, he had two approaches. One was to throw objects that barely functioned at enemies and just like hope they hit and dealt damage properly. Or you would use the ground pound move to stun everything around you and then pick them up and just like throw them or put them down. Which was very one note and got very boring very quickly. But there are like 3 new combat moves that Silver has that both greatly speed up his combat and make it more nuanced. So, one, he has the Psychic Shot, which is completely original. I don't think it's in any Sonic game. Where he fires a little homing ball that'll stun enemies. The upgraded version of that homing ball, the Psychic Knife, which was seen in Generations, will just pierce enemies and basically kill anything in its path. We'll be seeing that in Kingdom Valley and Aquatic Base, which are our 2 next stages. And then there's ESP mode. So I mentioned ESP mode has a few combat uses. Number 1, its activation functions a bit like Chaos Blast, where it'll stun and kill anything within its activation range. And number 2, while you're in ESP mode, like the lingering effect, you'll automatically stun any enemies you come near. So that means you can just walk up to an enemy and pick them up.
ESP mode is pretty crazy in how nuanced it is, but the interesting thing is that unlike the other S rank, or I guess you could say 100% rewards for completing the other Hedgehog stories, it does not make Silver invincible. So even if we're in ESP mode, we still do have to be careful about, you know, our distance from enemies so we don't actually take an accidental hit and fall into a pit or something like that. But here we go, the beginning of the gauntlet of Aquatic Base, Kingdom Valley, and Flame Core. Silver has the biggest difficulty spike of any of the Hedgehog stories in this game, and we are beginning Aquatic Base here with Shadow the Hedgehog. Unfortunately, this can basically just amount to a cameo because there's not nearly enough time to talk about all the intricacies of Shadow because he is the same, if not more complex than Silver is, and we haven't even gotten through all of Silver's abilities yet. So if you would like to see the Shadow DLC, I recommend telling GDQ that you like Project 06 so that we can get Shadow's story run out here. Now, even though it is DLC, I am offering a special promotion for it to be $0 as well, so, you know, don't be worried about that. It's still safe on the wallet. But anyway, here, using what Rev talked about with ESP mode, what I did is I teleport dash through those 2 Iblis golems there. Iblis is the main enemy of Silver's story, and these are kind of his little henchmen. The teleport dash, while we're using it, it makes Silver invincible. So we can use that in combination with ESP mode in order to stun those enemies, so that way we can grab them, and then do our best to throw them against the other stuff we need to throw them at, because we can either pick up the enemies and put them down, or we can pick them up and throw them at something else, and that's where stuff starts to get wonky, is if we try throwing them at other things. But thankfully, it was pretty easy there. Activating ESP mode one more time. Again, I believe, Rev, you did mention the ESP blast, did you not?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, great. So, using the ESP blast right there just to take care of those enemies, and I did a quick restart of the section here. So, Project 06, not only being just an awesome speed game and casual game in general, is a very forgiving speed game. You're able to pause and restart the section of stages, which is signified by a loading screen that happens. You saw the loading screen there. We are now in Section 2 of Aquatic Base. Why I did it is because ESP mode is very interesting. So that bar in the bottom right that you've been seeing going from the left to the right of your screen the entire time is called our action gauge. And the action gauge basically governs everything that we can do with Silver other than running and jumping. Also, is this 2D in my 3D Sonic game? My goodness. But the action gauge is basically what keeps us from just going absolutely crazy with all of these abilities we have with Silver, which is why ESP mode is so important. But there's another meter underneath that action gauge, and that's called the maturity meter. It's a red meter you'll see below as we start Kingdom Valley here. There's a little white mark. If you defeat enemies, you collect these energy cores. And if you collect 3 energy cores, you are able to activate ESP mode for its minimum duration, up to a maximum of 10 energy cores for max duration.
Let's get to Elise right away. Leave it to me.
Sonic really taking the fastest thing alive to heart as he absolutely vanishes right after that cutscene. I don't know if he used one of his gems or something like that, but he is just gone. Starting off Kingdom Valley here, as I was mentioning, you can see the maturity meter underneath my action gauge there. It was filled up a bit of a ways, but not completely full, so An interesting thing that, unlike the other abilities, which are that Sonic and Shadow have, we actually cannot extend ESP mode's duration beyond when we activate it. So even though I'm destroying enemies here and collecting energy cores, the maturity meter is not going to fill up anymore until we run out of ESP mode. And it's very interesting because we do have to route in specific things so that we don't have that problem. We can use ESP mode when we need, like right here. Here we go, a little tough trick. Gonna swing around the left side and landed it.
Go.
Nice and
Very
easy.
nice. Very nice.
If we had any less meter, you know, that discount, we would not be able to make that trick, which is pretty cool stuff. Again, just the attention to detail in Project 06. The discount that you would get on your psychokinesis abilities are quite fine-tuned. Which is pretty cool.
Because it was changed like 3 or 4 times during development.
It was initially 50%, which was a lot.
Just so broken.
Yeah.
Silver is such a scary category to watch because every single jump you see them do, like, you never think they're going to make it because we've optimized, like, how much meter we need for each jump. So you always think they're just going to die, but they never do.
Here we go, again, seeing the Sonic cameo. If you would like to purchase the Sonic DLC for free, just let GDQ know that you want to see some more Project 06. But Sonic is the most complex character in the game, so there was absolutely no time to discuss what he could do. But we did a pretty cool trick called Castle Skip there, where we skipped a bit of automation, which is kind of the name of the game in Sonic speedrunning, is we like to skip as much automation as possible to, you know, go fast. Optimizing once again the maturity meter. We have 1 activation of ESP left at the very end of the stage. We're just going to use it to go pow and destroy all of those mechs in one fell swoop. Seeing Sonic and Silver posing, even though the egg carrier is about to crash and explode and end the entire world, we do have to look kind of cool when the results screen is up, though.
I mean, that's what you do in the end. You know, you just got to have that pose.
Yeah, the pose saves
the pose,
all.
Yeah, the pose is one of the most important things about these type of games, you know?
Exactly. I agree.
What's the point if you don't, honestly?
Yeah, exactly. But here we are in the final stage, Flame Core. Now, I was talking about a difficulty spike at the beginning of Aquatic Base, and then it furthered in Kingdom Valley. Flame Core is one of the hardest stages in the game, and Rev, if you would be so kind as to explain a little bit why.
Yeah, so I mentioned that Silver's combat in P06 is a lot more nuanced and technical than it is in retail. And this stage just takes that to an extreme because there are a bunch of, 1, small enemies that fly, and number 2, there are multiple waves of enemies, so we need to kind of use certain abilities in certain situations in order to take them out most effectively. You blew that box up, and that guy did not die.
Nope.
What a jerk.
That dude had the main character cheat.
So small, man.
He had plot armor, I guess.
Honestly.
But here we go.
Here?
Just missing the enemy bounce there a little bit. This is a feature that isn't in too many of the 3D Sonic games. Well, it is, but it's not nearly as good. But Chaos definitely taken some inspiration from the classic games. In terms of the badnik bounce, the higher you are above the enemy, the higher you get a bounce off of them. So we use that there to shortcut ourselves to a special route that normally, whoopsie-daisy, takes a little bit longer to get to. But we're able to just shortcut and hover over to the spring to grab this invincibility that makes this lava river section a little bit easier. But just gonna have just enough hover to get right over here. We're gonna grab this box, chuck it against that guy, and then another ESP blast. Again, Rev talking about those route optimizations. It took a long time to figure out where we wanted to activate ESP and where we wanted to just stay regular Silver, which was kind of one of the most fun parts of routing this.
By a long time, we mean like 2 weeks. It genuinely took a while.
People were really, really excited to play as Silver when he came out, because the Silver release, I forgot to mention that the first demo of P06, which contained just Sonic's Wave Ocean and Sonic's Kingdom Valley, released on April 19th, 2019. The Silver release, which is what I'm playing right now, of course, as we're playing Silver stages, released on April 19th, 2023. So Chaos is definitely in for the long haul in creating this project, and there is so much love and dedication that hopefully we've been able to show off so far. But one thing I do have to make mention of, or else Chaos would not like me very much, is these runes on the ground. You can see these green runes on the ground, and in Retail 06, they have this little lip here that you can see Silver's... Ow. that Silver's standing in front of. I'm trying to talk here, man. But those had a default position in Retail 06. In P06, Chaos meticulously went through the game to all 30 or 40 of those runes that span the entire game and reoriented them to face toward what they activate. So if that doesn't show the dedication that this guy has to making the best 06 experience possible, I don't know what to tell you. It's pretty crazy. All the little details that are in this game, some that most people wouldn't notice. Rev, if you would like to take over a little bit here on this final section of Flame Core.
Yeah, so there's this giant ball, which us in the retail community, we like to call this the Big Puff. We don't really have a name for it in P06, but this is a like mini boss thing that's supposed to send out waves of flames in intervals, and it like you have to go around like a massive room, but we have teleport dash. We don't have to do that.
Yeah, we can just kind of skip the boss fight, essentially, which is pretty awesome here. But, yeah, we just stood on top, activated the rune that destroyed the core, and we're just going to teleport dash a little bit into the goal ring as we finish up Flame Core here. Now, that may be the last full-length stage, but we just love Sonic Project 06 so much that we decided to add the extra stage. So each story, so there's Sonic, Shadow, Silver, like I mentioned before, has one extra stage where you go through a stage with one of the Amigo characters. For Silver, it's Wave Ocean Blaze. And I gotta say, it looks so pretty. I'll just give you guys a moment to just take this in because the skybox that Chaos created for this is absolutely beautiful. It was one thing we didn't really mention, but to kind of spice up the level variety even more than it kind of already is in Sonic 06, Chaos actually changed the time of day that a lot of stages take place at. So we've got Wave Ocean at sunrise here. If you remember Tropical Jungle, that also took place at sunrise. And Crisis City took place at nighttime, which was pretty cool. And those are some changes from Retail 06. Again, and man, I'm so happy he did because Wave Ocean looks absolutely gorgeous here at a sunrise time.
It really does. That's a gorgeous layout.
Extremely. It makes me wish that all the Wave Oceans were at sunrise, but, you know, can't have your cake and eat it, too, I suppose. But we are nearing the end of the run here. When I hit the goal ring in this stage, that is when time is going to be. So just wanted to give a quick shout out to the Sonic P06 speedrunning community. We have a brand new Discord server if you would like to join it. There are links absolutely everywhere. If you would like to, doing my own self-promo here, if you head on to Twitch TV/Stelman98, you are able to access the Discord server there. And just want to thank Chaos one more time and all of the other people. I'll show the credits when we finish off here. Just for making this incredible game because it's awesome. And that is time.
Wow. GG.
GG.
That
was pretty good.
Incredible. Rev,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead. Okay. Rev, did you have any other shout-outs you wanted to say or anything like that?
No, not really. Just play this game. It's awesome. Like, it's free, man. You lose nothing.
You literally lose nothing other than some hard drive space, I guess.
Yeah, 150 megabytes, actually. It's definitely bigger than that. Like 3 gigs of hard drive space.
But yeah, that was Sonic Project 06. If there is extra time, there is some stuff I can show off, but if not, that's fine too. I really hope you guys enjoyed.